Welcome to episode 2 of the Justin Johnston Show. I'm Justin Johnston. I'm a commercial real estate broker, practicing commercial real estate for the past 27 years. This is Blake Moore. He's my partner, manager of curating all of this and making this happen. And we're discussing today a report that's come out. It comes out every quarter. Since I've been doing this, at least the last 20 years. It's called the Mueller Real Estate Market Cycle Monitor. And as a subscription, this is really, really good data that we're able to find. You used to have a subscription to it. It's also linked to the University of Denver, Daniels College of Business. And also, at least identified on that page as well, is the Van Kuren Family Office Real Estate Institute Executive Education. So I want to give them kudos because this is where we have retrieved this. These reports, these types of quarterly information where they're tracking markets is a huge tool. A lot of people view commercial real estate as very difficult. Like, man, there's just so much information, so many markets. And this, I'm going to point you in this direction on this just because this is a great one. If you know where to go and get the information, there's some really smart people that have been tracking this and disseminate the information in a way that we can interpret it. And it is really very beneficial for that. So we've got this, and we'll, I think, bring up some of the, what would you call that? Graphics for this, right over the top. So this tracks the 5 types of properties: office, industrial, multifamily, retail, and hospitality industry. And they track 54 metropolitan statistics. MSAs, metropolitan statistic areas, and it's very interesting. So they've got it broken up into 4 quadrants. Phase 1 is a recovery phase of the market. Phase 2 is expansion. Phase 3 is hypersupply, generally where developers or market has exceeded what the demand is, and then there's phase 4, where it actually has gone past hypersupply into what they deem as a recession. Not a recession as far as the market, but that particular property type, that it's an area that is identified as it's going to take at least, maybe at the very best case scenario, maybe a year to pull out of that type of a section. And of course, it's going into phase 1, which is recovery. So sometimes when a property type will dump into that sector of the market, it's been overbuilt. And you'll see when we pull this up, the sectors of the market that have been mostly affected, and in those categories, in fact, the only 2, as you break some of them down, is the office downtown and the office suburban market. The office suburban market is in the recession phase, and it's advanced there because of COVID. Something like this, COVID, that's affected how many people are working at the office, or obviously this is a section that people were working from home, and it's affected both the downtown central business districts as well as the suburban market. I've identified those 2. It's very interesting. Though I haven't tracked retail market, it's not something that we follow as much, but there is always opportunity. We have clients that will want us to find ground for them for developments, and have worked and have several clients right now that are looking for this. Retail, regional malls, power centers, the hotel industry, retail neighborhood, community, retail factory outlets, which are always in different markets. They are all in the expansion market, phase 2, along with both industrial sectors that are tracked in this particular report, which is the R&D flex space and the industrial warehouse. The phase 3 is hypersupply apartments. Now, apartments just moved from what was, and I'm talking the entire market for the U.S. market for each of these categories, moved from the high level of expansion where they had significant increase in rents over the last quarter, which would have gone from, and of course this is the third quarter, so from second quarter to third quarter of 2022, it moved into hypersupply. And I think that is the market that we're in. We have a lot of, that's how it was affected in our market.
Yeah. I mean, they were building apartments like crazy over the past couple of years, and I think they definitely overbuilt a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's, and we can go into great detail with the slides that we're going to be bringing up. We can kind of identify some of these things. Now, the office market, though we had identified it in phase 1 and phase 4 recovery, you can see that, in the market that we're in with Salt Lake, which is also in Utah County, we're right on that line of hypersupply and the phase 4 recession. So it's kind of where we've been for the last couple quarters, and it is very well split throughout the country. There are some strong areas in the country that you can see. From Dallas, Fort Worth, East Bay, which is actually in the San Francisco area, actually pulled out quite well of the recovery market. It went up 2 points, kind of pointing out some of those. Las Vegas, Tampa, New Orleans. I mean, those are great markets right now. And you can see in this and identify it in the recovery phase 1 and item number 4 there, where it's in that market. You can see that those sectors have kind of reversed. They went down from where 5 was. You can see Atlanta, Boston, Washington, D.C. have slid down. So it's all over the map with that. In the office market, you can see that. Industrial is a very interesting story, which Salt Lake has moved from what would be that expansion market. 11 is kind of where it actually hits full equilibrium. Mm-hmm. By moving from that into the hypersupply, that really what it means is that rates still increased, but it may have a little higher vacancy and it might have not as much, right? It's kind of been taking its incremental increases, and now it's just a little bit. It's not there. I don't know if what I would consider our market hypersupply, but obviously, you can take some of the feeling out of it, which is what we always have. Hey, so what a strong market, Salt Lake has been. Well, there's a handful. The entire country is in the phase 2 expansion, and the groups that are in hypersupply are just there, right? Salt Lake, Houston, Denver came out of that nice equilibrium at 11, which is a great spot to be for owners of properties, developers, bringing new product to market, and so to be able to see this, it may refute some of the ideas that we've got, some of the market basics that are, that it's breaking a little bit here, that has been tracked there. But what an interesting story, the industrial market. Amazon, all the shipping, all the little brown boxes that are going everywhere, that has caused this, what a great asset class, that's been there. I don't know if there's some other things you maybe want to point out there, but the apartment cycle, multifamily, very interesting. Not to overly state, they've kind of got, in that item 13, 14, it kind of appears that those have, they're in the phase 4, just to make sure on the graphic that's still in a hypersupply. And every one of those sectors have moved into, from in item 12 to 13 in that cycle. I just want to make sure it's still in the hypersupply. I think those are still really good markets. There just have been maybe a little bit of a softening, right? The rates of the rental rates are not moving as fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I think that probably is a good thing for anybody that's renting out there and seeing Salt Lake is a part of that. But every one of those markets that's identified in the Area 13 has moved from 12. And you can see that many of those that are on number 12, the +1, they all moved from that from the expansion phase and market equilibrium, which is, I think, a really solid asset class as well. I mean, it's been amazing to watch it, and everybody thinks, hey, we're building too much. There's been a lot of product that's been brought on in Utah, Salt Lake. Having said that, there's been a lot of people moving here. It's still a really hot market, as well as every one of those on that. I have friends in all those different markets, so we talk about it, and we've brought a lot of product on. There's still people moving here. There's not a ton that's planned still, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we're just going to have that come back, probably even into the expansion phase. That's my guess on that, but that is where it's at, and it's a great way to be able to track and say, hey, it is moving there.
Well, I mean, this is from third quarter of last year as well, so it could be slightly different once the fourth quarter results come out too.
Yeah.
So stuff that we're seeing right now might slightly be different than what is showing.
I'm very interested to see how this will affect it. Because it is it's a class that just seems to. I have rentals. They're single family. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be included in this, but I think there seems to be a large demand for that and for all rentals. Mm-hmm. And with interest rates going up, I just I think even though we moved into this sector, I just see this playing to the benefit.
We might go back into 11 range.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see it advancing further there. And of course, the only ones that are right there that are ending right there on that recession line is Palm Beach and Phoenix. And they both moved from 13 to that 14 sector. Yeah. I think that is kind of a phenomena that is, I don't see them providing that much more units in those markets from what I've been told at the rate that they happen. So I think everything's going to kind of come back up in there. It's very interesting to see that there's nothing technically in the recession or recovery market. Yeah. It's been like that for a while. Mm-hmm. It's a very strong sector. It seems to be that you can't build enough of it, which is very interesting.
I think it's because a lot of people are, especially like the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation, they like movement, they like apartments because it comes with all the amenities, no yard work, and you have all these generations coming up, and houses are more expensive. The average wage is not necessarily matching up with the appreciation of houses, and so it's harder to get a house. Interest rates have now gone up, and so I think that's why the whole sector will move back into expansion, because unless interest rates go down a lot again, apartments are in high demand. I know a lot of my friends, they enjoy the renting aspect of living, where you don't have to worry about all the house maintenance and all that stuff, So I definitely see it coming back as well into expansion.
And let's say rates do go down. Federal Reserve, if you're listening to us, I know you check into our show every time to see what we're trying to indicate for you. I think when those rates do, if they come down even a little bit, it's going to obviously that's better for developers of multifamily, and the people that are looking to buy will maybe be able to purchase that home that they are looking for, that they've got their cash set aside for. I think there's some people sitting on that cash waiting for the opportunity to meet that spread. Yeah, there. Exactly. So very interesting. But and as I said in the beginning of this, the retail market cycle analysis is quite an amazing story. In fact, I'm sitting here quickly looking at this. This is for the third quarter. There's no +1 or -1 that I can see on there. This is where it was in the second quarter. The entire 54 market cycle, that is MSAs that are reviewed every quarter, they're sitting there in
Right.
that perfect
Yeah.
equilibrium point, number 11, which is so interesting to me because we always talk about how much Amazon and even Walmart and some of the other retailers are
Yeah.
marketing to people at home, right?
Yeah.
Don't come to the store.
Yeah.
We'll have every
Just
size
order it.
for you.
Exactly.
Do you know your size? We've
Yeah.
got it for you here, every color and
Yeah.
shape and size.
Exactly. Even
order
like
it.
groceries now.
Yeah.
They're telling people to deliver them.
If it's not there, I mean, you go to the store, your ramen's out. It's
Yeah.
like, what? They're not,
Exactly.
but I can go back on and order it through Walmart,
Yeah.
order it through Amazon or other retailers that are
Yeah.
out there. Very interesting.
Mhm.
And that they're doing so well. They found a way to, and this is coming from a very beat up industry that with the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those restaurants and places closed
They're
down.
destroyed.
They were destroyed,
Yeah.
and gyms. I mean, obviously some things are coming back. Hopefully, we won't have something like that again to affect them. But I would say this is really a great story. The retailers have figured out a way. Now, we know with that, regional malls are still trying to identify and who they are,
Yeah.
rebrand themselves. How do we get this? Yeah, obviously, a lot of them have been building multifamily,
Yeah.
so that there are rooftops and buyers that are right there that make it easy to go there. The large, what would they call them? The department stores.
Mhm.
Some have been able to figure it out, and some are on the way out. It's very interesting to watch that. I don't understand that overall. To me, I can sit back and look at the things, what my shopping patterns were, and
Yeah.
why I did or didn't go to those. But for the first time, I ordered a suit online through Amazon just to see, and
Yeah.
it was about a third of the cost. Full wool Italian
Uh-huh.
made suit.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with. I still got to fit the bottoms, for my pants. Of course, they didn't come hemmed or cuffed or any of that stuff. And because my upper body size, the pants, I know I have a belly, but it appears that they would be tight, but they're not. For my jacket size, my pants are just way too big, so hopefully they'll take in okay. Having said that, I didn't go to a department store, which is something
Yeah.
I would have gone to in the past.
Yeah.
Dillard's, Nordstrom. This is still an evolution, but
Yeah.
for every one of the markets to be in a great place, they've rebranded. They found different local competitors. They're there. The mom and pops are filling in. Restaurant. I know entertainment. I've seen several of the old Shopkos turn over to the jump on it, the trampoline centers. I've seen some of them turn to the go-kart,
Yeah.
the really fast ones that people could wreck and maybe.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends that have busted an arm or two because they're so. Hey, they've rebranded those places of how hey, it's a big box at the end of the day in a great retail location.
Yeah.
It's a great story for I love this about American business. People will find a way to
Yeah.
recover, and of course that's the businesses. We're talking about real estate, right? Which every one of these sectors, that's what it ends up coming out.
Well, and so in this sector, does it happen to include warehouse space at all, or is that's different?
It wouldn't be. So those. My understanding is that maybe some of these old WalMarts or maybe big box department store areas in downtown locations, if they have been converted to a distribution center, that last mile reach for all these brown boxes going out, they've been converted over to industrial flex warehouse distribution.
Okay.
So it's been moved out of that sector. That doesn't include that there. So there might be some of those things. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen some of them go. Actually, I don't know there was one sector that I was wondering about the other day. They were storing RV, high-end RV storage campers, basically indoor storage of equipment and things like that. Right there in a really good location off I-15 and University Parkway. I'm not sure how and what they've deemed that space to be. It appears to be more warehouse, but they are getting some pretty good. They're packing them in there, so
Yeah.
they're getting some pretty, what I'd say, good lease rates. Having said that, I'm not sure that they're, but my understanding is if it was converted to some type of distribution, it went from being retail to industrial.
Yeah.
So it should not be showing up here. Having said that, of course, every other market there, Salt Lake's part of that, right there at that good equilibrium. And I've watched this, like I said, from afar and up close, from the standpoint of saying, wow, this is a pretty amazing story of how I think the owners of it, developers, the new projects are not like the old projects. They seem to be a little more integrated with the multifamily that's around it. At least that's how it's been in Utah that I've seen. But having said that recovery in the marketplace for everything in retail to be sitting right there says that the landlords are working with business owners to turn this around. It's a great story.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the hotel, hospitality, I should say, sector, very interesting. Again, it's not all sitting on equilibrium 11, but the only markets that are not part, and I guess it's a little confusing because obviously one of the sweet spots is item number 8, right? It's got lots of opportunity to go either way. Generally at 8, there's a lot of potential rent growths for those markets, right? And so obviously, San Francisco, interesting, San Francisco, Las Vegas coming up from number 7. You got Boston coming up from 6 at equilibrium there for that particular coming out of recovery.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to come up. A lot of these markets are coming out of there. The only ones that are not are obviously Cincinnati, Columbus, Houston, Kansas City, Minneapolis, Norfolk, St. Louis, Stanford. So those are, in that recovery. My understanding is, and here's the beauty, I think we touched on that last episode, hotels can juggle in the market because they are vacant. Their lease rates are 1 day at a time, right?
Exactly.
So they're not getting stuck or behind the 8 ball. They recover and can recover faster than any other sector. And it's very interesting to see, of course, the ones that are highest up there, Salt Lake, Honolulu, Hawaii. And so, yeah. So, I mean, they probably, I think Airbnbs with all that, this sector of the hotels is doing tremendously well right now.
Yeah.
And, of course, we have a local developer here without naming them, but they bought a lot of Marriott hotels, 60 cents on the dollar, maybe even better than that from what I've been told. And they did that at the beginning, kind of of the pandemic, 2021. Yeah. For a year, 2 years, I've been told that they're in a great position to turn around and sell those, for a premium. They weren't just here in Utah, Salt Lake. They were all throughout the country where they purchased them. But that's a great story too. I mean, I remember airlines and the hotel. Nobody was traveling. Nobody was doing business except for Zoom calls there for a while, and they were able to hold their own. And obviously, some people did pull out and sell and were badly hit, but they've been able to refurbish them in some cases, or just maybe ride out the storm. Yeah. But that is a great sector that is poised. I think everything that it appears will be strong for the next several quarters, even with potential recession. We'll see, right? And business still has to be done. People are still trying to look at that. Recession is GDP, right? Yeah. That's how it's marked. So sometimes I think, is it an old mechanism to say how the market's doing? I don't know. That's not my job. I'm not an economist. But to me, when I look at it, it's like, well, I mean, every one of these businesses is not gross domestic product. They're a piece. Yeah. Exactly. And we have to deal with, there's restaurant industry. There's some that have proven to be able to move faster, negotiate with their suppliers, and either pass that cost on to people where they're accepting it or not, right? Yeah. That's what we talked about at the time. If you have a solution to a problem, you'll continue to do well. I think that's the story of this economy, really, for the most part.
Yeah, especially for the for this year, 2023. I think it is a lot of how quickly can you move and how quickly can you problem solve.
Yeah, I think that's it. How can you identify the problems that are coming up? I think we're identifying some of them right now, right? And we've talked about that. People need real estate. You have to house a business there. How can you perceive what issues there are going to be, and also what solutions are you creating outside that aren't even related to real estate, right? Yeah. If you're growing and you need that space because you're solving all sorts of issues out there in the economy, in the marketplace, and there's some great stories. There's some awesome stories out there with the semiconductor, the chips, coming into Arizona and some other parts of the country where they're, I can only see that bringing great growth to those areas, but we're solving a problem that's been a huge problem.
Yeah.
Prices on vehicles are coming down. I mean, just all these little things.
Yeah.
Again, the American, as long as we're leaving and believing in the capital markets, capitalism, it works.
Yeah.
You provide enough of a reward to those that are trying to find and solve the problems, and they'll solve the problems. They'll find new ways, and if not us, then our artificial intelligence computers that are figuring out all this stuff, if they don't eliminate us as well, right?
Yeah.
That's about as much as I know of that too. I hear something, I'm like, this is amazing, this is great stuff, and I'm like, shit, they're going to take us out. Yeah. We are gone, right? I mean, is that fair to say? I mean, it's just, and then I watch some of the videos with them. They have made huge advances.
Oh, I know.
And what those things can do. Because I remember hearing, not that long ago, being able to hear them say, there's no way that those machines can perceive, run, and then also assimilate this information, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they're doing it very well. And when I see them like running around the room and they set up all these different things and they hit them to knock them off, that's just the physical side. But then they're obviously recalibrating and doing those things. We're in an exciting time. I think right now it's really going to be interesting, and I think America's leading on that as well. What that's going to bring and change of our lives. But I'm pretty bullish about this, right? I mean, all these different sectors. The only one that's really in doubt. And I say doubt, that means there's going to be a lot of opportunity there in the office sector. I mean, something's got to give, and I think there's going to be maybe either guys solving the problem of how to occupy and drain down the vacancy on some of these office buildings, either with amenities, making it a better place to work. I think, and who's going to solve that? Some of it's going to be the landlord, some of it's going to be the companies that are going to figure out how to hire people over. And we'll shift from talking about artificial intelligence to where we're at. That's our for this episode number 2. It's a great tool. You can go over there. You can see it yourself. It's something you can go back. It takes about a month to have them come up with each quarterly, so it runs about 30 days. We wanted to do this first part of December. It ended up being now. It's okay. I mean, real estate is not a rapid moving target, right? I mean, quarterly is a good analysis to see where things are going. It just gives you a snapshot of where things are going and where things have been. I don't think you could consolidate data from an overall market standpoint, industry-wide as well, and be able to see how things have been moving, +1, +2. Oh, it's been staying right there, just like the retail sector. Everything in the retail sector is sitting right there at that perfect equilibrium. Very interesting. But so go over to the University of Denver, Daniels College. You just go there. You see it under the research item. You can do that. So
before we go, I did have a question for you.
Yes.
Get your thoughts on this. So if you were an investor, where would you say is the hottest sector right now to have the biggest gains in? And which one do you think you should hold off on, according to these 5?
I'm not always the best at predicting that. Other than what I do see here, and taking into account my 27 years of watching this cycle out, I think there's going to be a big opportunity for office owners or office investors to solve a problem there, to rebrand that. I just think it's going to be the case. I don't know if that means people are going to default or where things are at overall. The vacancy has been higher there anyway. It's the highest vacancy in the market. Really good managers are still building. I mean, they're building more office. They're building more office here in Utah, which really did surprise me. But they're filling it up. They're giving the amenities and working with companies to fill that need.
Well, and do you think that maybe the office space right now could kind of be what the hotel space was a year back?
That's a good point. It's something we've talked about. I think that's actually a very good point. In if we were making that where the retail was, and I think there's an opportunity there because Elon Musk is building in the Twitter some sleeping space. Yeah. Well, that's residence space. I mean, are they sleeping there for short periods of time, or is it for a shift? I mean, right? It sounds a little goofy when you're talking that way. What I think we're seeing is space that can, if there's cities and zoning and some of those allowances there, could be. There's some people that would love to live right next to their office space. Yeah. Or converting certain floors to that. I think it can make sense.
I think so too.
There's the one nice thing about the office is there's more parking, right? They've allocated parking in some of these larger complexes. It's covered parking, it's secure parking. I don't know how that's going to be affected. I mean, every project's going to be a little different, but I do think that is, I think you make a really good point there of where there is what appears to be bleeding and a problem, and nobody has come up quite with the solution yet. Which I really didn't see retail turning like that. I mean, it was not doing well before. Amazon was happening before the pandemic hit, right? It spurted only more so, and their vacancy and all the fears accelerated. Well, I mean, here we are 2 years later, and it's in perfect equilibrium across the entire country. What an amazing story, really. So I say it doesn't go too fast. I think you've got these office markets, and again, that was across the country, right? That was the nation, suburban and downtown market. They're taking all of that into account. They're in recovery or recession. Then you go back, and it's kind of all over the board, right? It's interesting that it shows it all over the board, in the other sectors, because you think that more of those would be down in that market. I think what they're taking is some of these larger markets with a lot of space, New York, Boston, San Francisco, some of these that have traditionally been up there, but it's where people still want to live. It appears there, so it'll be interesting to see who can, resolve this issue. I just see that being a good opportunity there. And I think the rest of the product type, here's the interesting story. From everything I've heard, increase in interest rates have cooled the financing, right? So projects that were planned or in that early planning stages, but they wanted to build industrial or more multifamily. If they're not past that kind of point that they've already broke ground or they're going, they're holding off in most cases. Obviously not everybody is, but so I think what we're going to see is we need more industrial. When you're 2 or 3% vacancy, we need more. It's not going to be filled up, but these developers are going to cool. They're not bringing that. If they've not broke ground, my understanding is that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to hold off. So which one's better? I don't know. It's probably a benefit to them long term because the land values were really pushing up there. I've never seen industrial land values as high as they are, right? Or were at that point, and what things were selling for. But so I really see if you're specialized and you understand each end of these markets, I think there's great opportunity for everybody. I know almost every time I sound bullish, but there's just some interesting things. We're not dealing with the things we did in 08. There's not an overbuild and without occupancy. I mean, we're tight on the housing. We're tight in some of the other sectors. They just haven't figured office out. People are still working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're working, except for some, I don't know, I've been told some 40 millionaires. People aren't even looking for work anymore. The point is, those that are looking, it's a tight market.
Yeah.
You know, so they're working. Are they still working from home? Are they having to be coming into the office now? I think that's all going to work itself out over the next 24 months, you know? And so people that understand what's happening there, I think there's some great opportunity because there's not a lot of new product that will be coming on, right?
Yeah.
So I think things will work out pretty well. I think if you understand that office market, you're going to do well. Obviously, those retailers and the guys that own real estate, or the retail power centers and neighborhood centers, they figured it out. You know, I mean, it's very interesting. I don't know where the overall rates are, but they're obviously in a good position. The entire country's sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
Equally. So but a very good point. I think that office market, if there is a sector that looks like it's being beat and hammered, it could be in the next 18 to 24 months, that sector where maybe, you know, maybe not the whole country, but in some of those markets where guys were able to figure this out and streamline that process, they could be in a great position for what maybe they could pick it up for. Yeah. Similar to hotels as well, you know, as you said. But so that's it. So I think again, we want to bring all these things to you to take the mystery out of this business. Anybody can do this business. You can become an owner, you can be an agent, and you can carve out a niche for making a good living. We would love to have you be. If you have further questions or want more information, you can always reach out to us at the different places where we post that. But at the end of the day, we're trying to take this mystery out of it and say, hey, transition, get into real estate, make your dreams come true. That's what we've had, and we've got. We want to replace that and give back to the community, which is really as much of a reason why we've started the show as anything. Bring greater wealth and take that mystery out and say, hey, anybody can do this. So we do appreciate it. Any subscribe or like, please. It just gives us more opportunity to get the additional information and guests, which we do have coming. We've got some great potential shows coming up with brokers and owners and some business owners as well that have been successful in this market and maybe give good ideas and also a pat on the back to them for their innovation. Until then, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.